Hello, everybody. This is David Mixner. Here we are in January 2023, and it's hard to believe that so much time has passed. A couple things. Please subscribe on this video channel because it really, really does help me. It just takes a second to hit the subscribe button. And the other thing is, I want to talk to you today about the hideous and horrible persecution of drag performers in America, and how it's not just a serious threat in the LGBTQ community. It is a threat to all people who love the arts, because in the end, drag performers from the time of Shakespeare has been performers. They have been artists. They have been entertainers. They have done their bit to make us laugh, to cry, to embrace, and to teach us so much over the years. We are so indebted to this community that through their persecution now, each and every person in America, and certainly each and every person in the arts, should raise their voice in horror. Now, interesting enough, the word drag performer came from Shakespeare. When people would come to a show, the female roles were played by men. And because their costumes sort of dragged along the floor, they were known as drag performers. And that's where the art form first formed that we have a recorded history of. We do know that in the times of the Greek and the Roman Empire, that there were people who were performers in drag. It is a wonderful tradition. It really came back to America in a big way in 1900 during vaudeville. There was a performer named Julian Ettinger, who actually was a famous female impersonator and an actor, and he made more money than Charlie Chaplin did in his career. He was well known, and actually I put a link down because it's a really fascinating bio to read. He was at the time the highest paid performer in the world. Now, we know, and we have gotten used to in the LGBT community plus community, that every 2 years the Republicans will find the new aspect of our community, whether it's bathrooms or teachers or grooming or any number of things that they accuse us of, in order to build their political power and to keep their base happy. These attacks are nothing but political tools. They're not substantive, they're not researched, and they are meant to be hurtful, harmful, and it actually causes people their lives and their careers. Texas and Florida are two of the worst states right now, and we certainly have a community in Florida that's organized and that should be fighting back. And we have an arts community in both states. Now, in Texas, there is legislation, which has yet to pass, that, when you get an alert on your phone saying a tornado's on the way, or an Amber Alert on your phone to say, help us find this lost child, they will be issuing a third alert to alert communities that there are drag performers in their town putting on a show. Think about that. Think about that. I mean, you can't imagine anything worse. They don't put alert on your phone that there is a dishonest and corrupt Republican politician in your community. But that is as close to censorship and putting people's lives in jeopardy and enforcing currently, even here in New York, shows to close down, driving us out of reading books to children. I would think First Lady Barbara Bush would stand up and say, for God's sakes, they're teaching kids to read, because for her, reading is fundamental. And if we can make people laugh and come and sit down for story hour in the libraries, God bless us for helping children to value books and differences. I mean, it is simply outrageous. Now, from a personal level, I want to say, I have been involved with the drag performers and the imperial courts and those who participate in drag for all my political life. I have never known a more generous community. I have never known a community that was the first there as we were under attack in community, whether it be no on 6 or no on 64, or LGBTQ plus people in the military, or the right to marriage. They did fundraisers, and they were incredible. In addition, they put together a system to support people with HIV and AIDS in hospitals that I will never forget. And they brought smiles to the people in the hospital beds, and they touched and they hugged and they sang, and they raised money. We owe this community so much. But let's not forget one thing, and this is about an appeal to the arts community, actors, actresses, writers, screenplay writers, people who value, the same people who are trying to burn and ban books are the same ones attacking these performers, and they are, like you, performers. Now, sometimes I have learned that there are people who say it better to me than me in the arts. And I have learned not to try to reinvent words that I can't possibly match. So forgive me, I'm going to do something first on this blog. I'm going to read you some words from President Kennedy's speech at Amherst in 1963. It was the last speech he gave before heading to Texas. And he was honoring Robert Frost. And he wrote his entire speech about the role of arts in public life. I will put a link down also for that at the end of this thing, so you can read the entire speech. But I just wanted to read 3 short excerpts from that speech because I think it says it so well. President Kennedy said in the speech, "The artist, however faithful to their personal vision of reality, becomes the last champion of the individual mind and sensibility against an intrusive society and an officious state. The great artist is thus a solitary figure. If sometimes our great artists have been most critical of society, it is because of their sensitivity and the concern for justice, which must motivate any true artist. It makes them aware that our nation falls short of its highest potential." And finally, he said, "We must never forget that art is not a form of propaganda, or it is a form of truth. In a free society, art is not a weapon. It does not belong to the spheres of the polemic and ideology. Artists are not engineers of the soul. It may be different elsewhere, but in a democratic society, in it, the highest duty of the writer, the composer, the artist, is to remain true to themselves and to let the chips fall where they may. In serving this vision of the truth, the artist best serves this nation." So speak up. Don't leave our brothers and sisters alone. We owe it to them. I'm telling you that. And I'm so proud to be associated with them, to have been honored by them. I will walk by their side anytime they ask me to. It will be an honor. So if you're in the arts, speak up, because this is a censorship of performing, of artists that goes right up there with book burning. And if we don't speak up, soon it will be too late. In many states, we'll see it take place at the state level. So I asked you to subscribe to the blog, to have a joyful and fun-filled week, and to live in peace and joy.